We're back with a guy who grew up in the Lonsdale community, played ball at Halls High School, paid for his education through that basketball at LMU. Mark Padgett wants to be your next mayor as well. Good to have you this morning. Dennis, fire away.
Well, my question is very simple. All of the candidates are talking about business. I want to talk about people. What are you going to do? I understand jobs are important, but what are the issues that you see that affect the day-to-day lives of people in the city of Knoxville, and how are you going to improve that? We've had some discussion about homelessness. We've had several other discussions. But what do we do about the quality of life issues for the people here on the other side of the coin? We talk a lot about business. That's important. But at 5 o'clock, people go home. I'm interested in what you've got to say about quality of life stuff.
Well, I first want to say, too many times here in Knoxville, we like to say you're either pro-business or you're pro-neighborhoods, and I completely reject that. I'm pro-business and unapologetic, but I'm also pro-neighborhood. I have a young family, an 18-month-old daughter, and a pregnant wife. We're due 2 weeks after the election, actually, the primary. But quality of life issues are immensely important to me. Let me tell you the 4 things that I've talked about every day. I spent months before I decided to run, Dennis, listening to people, community leaders, business leaders, social leaders, neighborhood leaders, asking them what their expectations of their next mayor were and what their vision for Knoxville was. And we've been talking about these 4 items. Number 1, growing jobs in the economy. I think that's how you pay for so many of the quality of life issues that are of concern to us. But number 2, making sure that our neighborhoods are the safest, strongest, and most connected neighborhoods in the Southeast. I want to make Knoxville the most walkable, bikeable, runnable city in the Southeast, and I know we can do that. We have great parks and great communities and great greenways. We need to be connecting them to one another and to downtown, and I think that's a big quality of life issue. Number 3, we talk about making sure that our city government is the most accessible, most efficient, and most transparent city government possible. Something that I've done in the private sector, that's actually what we focus on and how we've been able to grow. And then number 4, continuing Mayor Haslam's vision to build a vibrant and thriving downtown Knoxville.
Now, Mark, one issue that has come up that has kind of pitted that quality of life against business has been the ridgetop guidelines, or the ridgetop planning. And how do you view that? What do you think about the steps that are being taken now to try to maybe achieve some sort of consensus? Where would you have fallen in the debate as it's gone so far?
I didn't support the original plan, but I'm really happy. I mean, I definitely want to make sure we're protecting our hillsides and our ridge tops, and I think any Knoxvillian you talk to would say that, and I definitely think we should. I don't really want to preempt or get ahead of the process. I'm glad that we're talking with City Council and County Commission, and I think we're going to come up with something that really works there. We need to make sure we're protecting our strategic assets and our resources, whether you're talking hillsides, ridge tops, our waterways, our green spaces, whatever that is, but also protecting property rights.
Why didn't you support the original plan?
Well, I mean, I don't want to get in and vet out the individual details here today. I don't know that we have enough time to, but I'll say I think that was kind of something that a lot of people thought, and I think that's why we're trying to make sure that all sides are engaged and coming up with some new ideas there.
And the 10-year plan, the homelessness plan, have you taken a position on that? Are you for centralized housing or for putting it out into neighborhoods?
The 10-year plan really had 9 different points, as we're all aware. The first 8 points, a lot of people, or most people, agreed on, making things more efficient, making sure there weren't redundancies, that sort of thing. So what we're really talking about is that 9th point, which was the scattered approach to permanent supportive housing, and I did not support that. We don't have a housing problem, in my opinion, in Knoxville. The same Section 8 vouchers that are going to go to pay to those units that were going to be built can go to pay to places we already have in Knoxville. What I've said is this: we need to be focused on the disease, not the symptom being homelessness, the disease being lack of jobs, being alcohol abuse or drug abuse or mental illness. I want to engage when we start talking about case managers again, because that's where we help somebody move from A to B and not just keep them at B.
That's also where the big costs come, and that's part of the problem of trying to solve that problem. Is a case manager like you're talking about is extraordinarily expensive, especially 24/7. So how do you pay for that? How do you if you want to use the existing resources that we have, the existing shelters, how do you pay for more counselors?
It has to be a joint effort with the city and county, without a doubt. And I think that, again, we have a task force looking. That's appointed by the mayor and or put together, I should say, Compassion Knoxville that's been appointed to look at this. And, you know, again, I don't want to preempt a process. I don't think that's fair for me to do that. They're going to come back with some suggestions, just like the pension or Hillside. You know, these things are all being talked about, and I don't think it's right for me to get out there in front of them. But I look forward to being part of the discussion when they do come back with some suggestions.
I'm downtown every day. It kind of irks me. I look across the river, and there's Baptist Hospital sitting, what, 99% vacant? A multi-million-dollar structure. You're the mayor of City of Knoxville. Tell me what you do about that.
That is an integral part to the South Knoxville waterfront in general, and until we do something there, I think, Dennis, it's almost going to be impossible to move forward with a lot of the other plans for the entire South Knoxville waterfront. And what we're talking about when we talk about the South Knoxville waterfront is really Knoxville's only opportunity for $1 billion of investment, the way I see it. There's a lot of plans out there in downtown Knoxville, and I know you're talking about the Baptist, and that's privately owned. The city, you know, doesn't own that, and so we're going to have to work with the private sector and Mercy and what happens there. But there's a lot of other projects downtown, you know, whether you're talking about the I-275 corridor, the Magnolia corridor, the Warehouse District, some private sector projects like Marble Alley or Cumberland Avenue that we've recently appropriated money to kind of refurbish a little bit and change. But a lot of these things, Dennis, they're plans, and they're great plans, but what they're waiting on is one thing: private sector interest and investment. And that's why I believe that I'm the right person to work with the private sector to cast that vision and say, this is where Knoxville wants to go. We need you to come in here and make an investment in Knoxville. Here's our vision for that. Here's the plan for that. And work with them to get that investment, because that's what really kicks off everything.
Will Governor Bredesen be involved at some point? Will we see him in Knoxville in this campaign?
I've had a great relationship with Governor Bredesen, and I have so much respect for him and value all the time I spent with him. But, you know, it's not something that he does a lot. He's not a politician, and he doesn't get involved in a lot of races, and I haven't asked him to get involved.
We got to take a quick break, and we'll be back right after this. More from Mark Padgett.